Shalom. All praise be unto Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. Peace and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. Getting into a walk and talk lesson now. Getting a little exercise in. Light exercise, not work, but just, some movement. Because we know today is the Shabbat. But just, some movement. Ain't nothing wrong with taking a little walk. But yeah, that's a beautiful yellow butterfly over there. Yeah, the Lord, man, we're gonna be able to really enjoy this creation. See it, it's flying like right in front of me. There it is. Yep. Wow. We can appreciate things like that, but the whole creation is crying out in travail. Okay, the whole creation. All right, not just human beings, but the animals. I just saw a story of these two Edomites that went and cut down a 200-year-old tree in England. It was like a historic landmark, and they ended up going to prison for it, where they got 4 years in jail, whether they serving it or whatever. But that's what I saw about that story, and that's just something that the devil would do. All right, Edomites do. They just come and destroy. All right, the thief cometh not but to kill and destroy. I'm paraphrasing. The murderer. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth. And that's the thing about our people, man. So-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. Y'all have not snapped into the facts of the matter, the reality of the situation that you're in. You still want to make excuses. And now it's coming to the point where your friendliness with Esau it can cost you your life at this point in the game. Because they're over here doing some landscaping, so Salakia. Try to walk by this quick. But at this stage in the game, you Jakes, now the thing now is the Latin tribes getting that wake-up call, which brothers had a discussion yesterday and mentioned that the Latin tribes, you're getting that wake-up call, man. And y'all have been trying to take up for the so-called white man, trying to take up for Esau, trying to take up for Edomites, saying they can be saved, saying that, we're wicked for saying that the Lord is only dealing with Israel, and this is the number one they want to save is Esau. That's who they always want to save. Nobody else but the worst of the worst. See, so, now you Jakes, you're finally getting your wake-up call, man. And you're finding out about how this man operates. Esau Edom, how he operates, man. Okay, they are taking you. There's stories of women out here on Long Island. There's stories of women being taken to Alligator, Alcatraz, or these other places, and you think are these Edomites coming to your defense? No, they voted for this. Even Jake, certain of you simple-minded Jakes voted for this. Which we're not advocates for voting either way it goes. All right, because we're not supposed to set up over us a king that is not of our own kindred. In other words, we're not supposed to set a heathen ruler over us because we're the chosen people of God, man. How would we look, how do we look choosing somebody that's lesser than us to rule over us? Which the Lord had. The Lord didn't want us to have a king to begin with. And when you go into Judges, for example, Gideon, they wanted to make him a king, but he said, no, the Lord will rule over you. Because that's really how it's supposed to be. Now, ultimately, there was a plan where the Lord had it, where He knew that Jake was going to want a king, so he ended up setting up David. All right, David and Solomon after him. But ultimately, that all fell away too. All right, and now Solomon came back as Yahushua and conquered death. And our whole purpose as the nation of Israel is to serve the Lord. The Lord is supposed to be our king, because when you desire a king, you're implying that you don't already have a king that's ruling over you in heaven. You see, so the Lord allowed us to have a king, but it was in a certain order where it was a special man that he had, put to the side, which was King David. But anyways, Jake has been supportive of bringing these heathen rulers. You even had certain Jakes up there getting up, saying they support Trump. And now these ICE raids are going bananas. They're not going to let up. All right, you got 4 years of this. If this kingdom even lasts another, let's say 3.5 years, because it's half a year through this man's presidency. And y'all are finding out, okay, why we have been giving you such a stark warning, which is all ultimately from the Lord, all right, about the so-called white man, about the Edomite, okay? They're not your friend. They're not there for your benefit. They are the exact opposite of a friend. They're your enemy, okay? And only when these things start to happen and Jake really sees judgment take off on a high level, do they have an appreciation. Even then, they still don't have an appreciation. But nowadays, Jake is moving, has no choice but to, especially if you're in this country and you don't got them papers or whatever, now you don't have a choice but to move widely when it comes to Esau. They have to be careful. Can't be telling everybody your business, And it would be wise for brothers to, if you, have your paperwork on you, if you have it, because they don't give a shit nowadays, They'll take any and everybody. All right. Don't matter if you're a citizen. If you did something to piss off the elite, all right, or if you did something to piss off Trump, or he's the lower luminary, he's fulfilling the will of the wicked elite, which are ultimately fulfilling the will of the Lord, because he set them up in rulership to punish us. So when you understand this is a big game of chess and the role that the Edomites play in it, you'll move wisely when you deal with them. We know what we know. We don't go pop up to Esau and, tell them to their face, you the devil, out in public. That's not wise. But we move wisely and we know who our enemy is. All right? You don't got to go up to a snake and identify him. Hey, you're a snake, in the grass, in order to be wary and to be aware of him and to avoid him. You see? You may have to deal with them in your dealings at work, school, whatever, and you deal wisely. Look at how Jacob dealt when he went back to meet Esau. All right, Yahushua said is what? Agree with thine adversary quickly. So, there's a way to move with Esau, which is wise, that can avoid and can get you out of a lot of different issues, man. But our people, the problem with them is they don't have a sense of who their enemy is. In Luke, the first chapter, it said that we should be delivered from the hand of our enemies. So by definition, that means that there has to be enemies of the Lord's people, enemies of the Lord and his people. By definition, then not everybody can be saved. You see? But Jake has to learn the hard way. Okay, Jake has to learn the hard way. And when you go through history, nothing is new under the sun. This has been playing out. This has been playing out for a long time with Israel, man. For a very long time with Israel. Okay, they would make covenants with the heathen, be buddy-buddy with the heathen, make marriages with the heathen. See, making a marriage is different than taking a heathen woman as your concubine. It's way different. It's way different. Because even now in this kingdom, when you join yourself to a woman, even if she's an Israelite woman, you're, you know, you're joining two cultures because we are in a different culture. Most of these women are in Christianity, right? So our culture is different. So when you say you marrying somebody, that means you actually joining together, and you're saying that, well, you could bring a piece of your culture and I could bring a piece of mine. That's not how it's supposed to be. You see, we're supposed to have, well, this is our God, and if you want to be with, well, basically it wouldn't be a matter of asking them. It would be either you get with it or you out of there. Okay. It would have to, if we had went to war against our enemies, the scriptures mentions it in the law that if you see a woman among the captives that you like, she has to mourn her family for a certain amount of time. I forget how long it is. It might be like 30 days. Forgive me if I'm off on that. A brother could post it. But she has to mourn her family, pare her nails, cut her hair, and that's like a fresh start for her. And she has to come in and serve your God, man. So when you deal with having unions in this kingdom, even with Israelite women, that's why the apostle has warned you to beware of the so-called black women, because they're deep into plantation Christianity. They're deep into wickedness. They're deep into Esau's philosophies. So basically, they're heathens. It's like marrying the devil if you get married to the women, the American Jake woman. You see, and that's just the facts of the matter. Why? Because their mindset and the philosophy that they come with. Now, if you have a child with that woman, what's going to happen? The child is going to be corrupted. You know. Now, the Lord could preserve him, of course, but what's going to happen? Confusion, because you're teaching him one thing, and then the other woman is teaching him something else. So that's why marriage is a different thing than just you having a concubine that's a heathen woman. You see, Jake was doing that, and again, tying it all in with the topic. When you do that, you're allowing another god into your home. You're allowing another god into your family, and that's not what we're supposed to do. So Jake wants to marry, let's say, spiritually marry Esau. Okay, they want to become a part of their culture, and this is what they've always done. See, that's why we have to have understanding of the scriptures. At the Wadi Halba Shem Al Shah, we have the right, the true men of the Lord, and the apostles, great millstone, the elders, the brothers that have taught us, because these are things that coming into this, we didn't know the difference between marriage and having the concubine. To you, it's all the same. But when you have that understanding, that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is broken down the right way, yeah, that's the one right there. Yep. The Chazak Ben Yahweh put Deuteronomy 21:13. And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. Right. So if we're going by the lunar month in the ancient Hebrew calendar, that's about 28 and change, maybe 28 and a half days, if I'm not mistaken. And after thou shalt go in unto her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. So yeah, she's a wife. All right. She's a lesser wife than an Israelite woman would be. All right, but she's a wife nonetheless. But she has to take on your culture. Okay, she can't come and be your wife, and then she's still serving other gods. Now, we know in this kingdom, you might have a woman. Most of our women, they don't believe, so they probably believe in whatever nonsense, But just to show you, bringing it out for edification's sake, that's why we're not supposed to join unto the heathen. Okay, and in joining unto them, you take on their traditions, their sense of what's right and wrong. And you can clearly see with Esau, it's skewed. It's very, very skewed. It's the opposite of right. It's completely upside down. Okay. And that has destroyed our people, man. Our people perish for a lack of knowledge. Right. Go ahead and get this. Brother put Proverbs 29 and 18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he, right? So there's no, you have to have a vision to say that we have to be separate, and we cannot be incorporated with the heathen. And that's why we tell you, when you get a 501c3 charter, you're not fully separating from Esau. You might, on paper, it looks like it. On the surface, you're a big Hebrew Israelite. You got the fringes, everybody wearing the same thing, IUIC, but they got the 501c3 charter. They don't want to let go, man. You're not fully separated. See, we don't have none of that shit. We don't have nothing that ties us to this man's government. That's allowed us to have complete liberty. And Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakakwadash, to teach the truth, the 100% truth, the right way, man. See, all of them little agreements and them goodies, and then what happens is you get set up with a certain lifestyle. You get wives. This is what happens with men. You got to get into the psychology of why does Nate do what he does? Why does these guys do what they do? They have believed their own lie. When you get the 501c3, you get the tax exemption, you get all these goodies. You sold out. So now you get all the benefits. You get a nice big crib. You got your wives. They used to a certain lifestyle. For you to walk away from all that, you're risking losing your wife, losing your family's going to look down on you. Now you with them crazy other Hebrew Israelites, which is us, which is the real servant, Lord's will. But we have the 100% truth, man. If we ain't the prophets, then who is? Lord's will we endure. As long as we endure in this doctrine, I will have to make us the prophets of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, but we say it humbly because we know that men have fallen out. Just because you're in it now doesn't mean you're going to be in it to the end. All right, so an elect man has to endure until the end. So we ain't there yet, but as it stands, we're the men of the Lord, man. So for a guy like him, you'll have to depart from all of the shit that you had. You see? Depart from all of the shit that you had. Be willing to lose a lot. You're going to lose tax exempt status. You're going to lose a lot of most of them goodies. All right. But if you have faith in the Lord, the Lord could increase you and make it so that you're sustained. You got a roof over your head, but that's not good enough. They want the big clout, the big car, the big house, So it ain't enough for them. So what did they end up doing? They continue to go along with the lie, man, they continue to go along with that lie of we're in the truth, ISUPK, the home of the truth. But here it is, you got an agreement and you going along with Esau. So you're married unto the devil. Okay. And this is why our people have to come under the right understanding and the right leadership. And we've been warning you about this man. Okay. And even when you go to them, it's a watered down message with ISUPK. We don't hate white people. God hates white people. So that's a watered down message, man. Because at the end of the day, if the Most High hates something, you're going to tell me you love it? That don't make no damn sense, man. So, just to bring it all home, man, the reason why our people are suffering is because they haven't taken heed, okay? And we know that, there is going to come great suffering regardless, but at least if you knew who your enemy was, man, you would know why you're suffering. Because that's where despair comes in. When you suffering, you don't even know why, or you don't know what's the purpose of it all, then that's where despair comes in. You don't have any hope. You're hopeless, depressed, down and out, downtrodden. And ultimately, we still showing Jake love. This is a work and labor of love. Now, teaching this truth is more of a risk than ever. And yet, the Lord still has us out here doing it so that you could hopefully come in and not be fooled by the wiles of the devil. Yep, that's a good one. The brother put Proverbs 11:21, though, hand joined in hand. The wicked should not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. There it is. Hand joined in hand. You think because you over here linked up with Esau under JC that you're going to be okay. You're not going to be okay. All right. You and him are going to be destroyed. You see, and we know why they setting up all them camps and things, because they really want to come for the Lord's men, the prophets. We're the main problem, man, especially with this whole, anti-Sem this, anti-Sem that. They're pushing this whole, if you speak against Israel, you're this, you're that. So who do you think they're really aiming at? We're not only criticizing them, we're saying we are the real people. That's a threat. That's called an existential threat. The knowledge, and that's the thing. We're not violent. We don't have an army. We don't have tanks, guns. All we're telling you is to wait on the Lord. Unlike that fool Captain Tazariak, man. The dude thinks he's so deep that he ends up confounding himself. We're not waiting on the Lord. Well, you can wait on the Lord and also be active in the ministry. The scripture says, wait ye upon me. But the dude want to sound so deep. He has regular based, they ain't even on the level, but you have Christians making you look bad. You don't got no sensibility. You don't have no spiritual sensibility. Of course we're waiting on the Lord, you fool. That's what this is all about. Patience, man. That don't mean you just wait and you don't do nothing, but we're waiting, but we're also occupying till he comes. You see? That dude, he's way out of there, man. Yep. Oh, that's another one. Proverbs 3:31. Envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. Yep, there you have it. Jake has been envying the oppressor. And it goes to like centuries of just our people being beaten down and being oppressed and trusting in Esau and thinking that if you're cool with him and everything's going to be all right, you're going to find a way through the darkness and he's going to be your guiding light. And you're coming to find out that trusting in him is your doom. Trusting in him will be your doom. All right. It will be your destruction. Okay. So just like ancient Egypt, man, it's the same thing playing out. And a lot of our I could say for one, a lot of my family members, they starting to wake up to the bullshit now. And I be telling them like, why do you think that they focus on Latinos so much? And it's the Southern Kingdom too, because now they're going in on Haitians, West Indians, anybody. But really, it's all about the tribes. It ain't even about the Chinese. They made an agreement with them. And I think that there's a lot more leniency for them than it is for the tribes. Meanwhile, we built this bitch, right? Some of my family's talking about, oh, this is terrible, what's happening. But I'm like, why do you think that they're focusing on just Latinos? Why is that the focal point and the main face of it all? Don't you find that interesting? And they'll be like, you're right. I won't even expound on it anymore because I already know they're hard-headed. But you can see they're beginning to realize, like, damn, this man really has to open up on you tribes, which is happening now. And that's when they're going to say, oh, shit, what have these Israelites been talking about? Let me find out what y'all been talking about because, shit, I'm getting my ass kicked. They're going to really have to get their ass handed to them, man. In order to, and then, hey, through this persecution, I believe, it's scriptural too. They're going to be looking for the men of the Lord and they're going to be looking more for the truth. Now, for many of them, it will be too late, but for some of them, they're going to come to the understanding and they're going to refuse the chip and the Lord is going to deliver them. But there has to be a great persecution. All right. Against all you tribes. It ain't about, it is about if you believe the Most High, but at the same time, your existence alone is a threat. Because any day, the way Esau looks at it, any day, one of you tribes, you can come across the camp and you could end up being a prophet. So it's just like how they did with Herod in Bethlehem, trying to prevent the Messiah, trying to prevent Yahushua from being born or to prevent him from growing up to be the savior. They knew that. They didn't want to stop their rulership. So they said, if we cut this off, that means Israel's out for good. But that wasn't the Lord's will. The Lord preserved us, man. And it's the same thing now. They look at it and say, if as long as you tribes are out here, any one of you could potentially wake up to be a prophet. So because of the message that the Lord is bringing forth through his prophets, now it's they're bringing, which they at least already known who the Israelites are. But now it's coming to the forefront where they see you all as a threat, all the tribes as a threat. Because any minute you could wake up into this thing. See? And he knows the more that the Lord's people wake up, the closer we get into the end. All right. And even though this is a time of tragedy and stress and violence and the evil time, it has to happen like this for certain of our people to wake up, or that is of the elect, man. They're gonna see these things, they're gonna see these horrors, and they're gonna start seeking answers. And if they're of the elect, the Lord is gonna have them come the right way, and they're gonna be preserved from the evils to come. All right. So as much as it is a time of pain, it has to happen. Because if not, Jake would just keep trusting in oppression. You know? Yep, Shalom to the brother Shalimah. Son of the Right, that's the brother Shalimah. Check his page out. Definitely subscribe. He's always, through the spirit of the Lord, bringing out edifying videos. Lord's will, we could tap in on some this week. Ecclesiastes 7:7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Yeah, that's the point. A gift destroyeth the heart, and that's what happens. You know, you're used to these goodies, you're used to all of these things. They don't want to give it up. So to stand up against this oppression, you see, who else is truly equipped to do that other than the men of the Lord? Because we're not just saying it from a point of, well, you know, protest, or this is a spiritual protest, right? We're not saying it from the point of view of, oh, well, do better by us. You know, we want Esau to give us some rights and give us some more money and some programs and help us out and keep these programs up. No, we're telling you from the scriptures, the ultimate truth, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, who your enemy is. What's the fate of this place, America? What's the fate of our enemies? What's the fate of our people, you know, that are of the elect and that are not? And that altogether is very damaging to this man's setup. See, I'm just kind of strolling up and down the block because I don't get good signal around here, so I got to keep in a certain area. So I'm gonna just do a little stroll up here, read a few more precepts, and then call it. I ain't gonna lie, this sun is beaming, but it's good, you know. Brother put Kazak Ben Yahweh put Isaiah 30:9, that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of Yahweh, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. Yep, and that's what they would rather us do, lie to them. That's the mindset of a woman. Don't tell me the truth, just lie to me. Get you out of the way, turn aside, out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. There it is. You know, they don't want to deal with the Lord. They don't want to deal with the Lord got to say. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because you despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. Right. Stay trusting in oppression. Stay trusting in wickedness. You know, they will turn a blind eye to all types of shit as long as they could be here and eat and get a little piece of Americana, little piece of American pie, man. All right, which is just a crumb. We want the kingdom, man. We want complete dominion and rulership, an infinite rulership, man, of righteousness. Therefore, this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And now we're coming to that point, that iniquity, that sin upon sin upon sin, that idolatry, that trusting in oppression, that turning a blind eye to the word of the Lord, coming against his men. Now that's coming to the point where it's as a breach ready to fall. You know, where it's going to break down suddenly. Yep. Jeremiah 17:5, thus saith Yahweh, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from Yahweh. Yeah, you see, what does it mean to make flesh his arm? That means you trust in man. You trust in Esau has this big military, and you know, he seems unstoppable. He seems invincible. You know, they're scared of Trump. We're not scared. All right. We've been declaring and breaking down this man's moves through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay. So guess what? The elites in Trump are scared of our God, man, and scared of us and the word that we possess. Okay. We don't have nothing to be afraid of. Now, sometimes the flesh might try to get the best of you, but think about it, man. We serve the God of the universe who allowed them to have all this. You think he's going to allow them to just completely destroy all of us? Of course not, man. So that's why we got to continue to push and continue to call on the names of Yahweh Shem Yahushua for protection. You see? Yep. There it is. Luke 12:43. Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Yep. It means what? Being occupied in his word. Okay. That servant will be blessed. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness for the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. Yep. That's the elect man. He's going to stand in great boldness. They haven't made account of the labors of the men of the Lord. Now, when Esau's rolling, Jake is blindsided. But this warning was coming was coming on the highest level, and you can't make the excuse because you had brothers in the Spanish speaking tribe saying the same thing. Well, all you tribes, man. And Judah thinks, a lot of you Judites think you're gonna get out scot-free because Trump is hyping you up because he wants your vote. He wanted your vote, and for a lot of you, he got it. I know Jake's right now, they'll tell you, oh, the hood loved Trump. Well, does Trump love the hood? We're gonna find out when them troops roll, man. This is just the beginning. A few brothers, including the beloved brother Baquar Moff, did a lesson about Rex 84. And it reminded me, I was watching that movie Jurassic World, like a T-Rex, man. The T-Rex coming through just tearing shit up. That's how he's rolling, man. That's that T-Rex 84 on your ass, man. And they're not gonna let up. You see? They put it in a place where the public can stomach it because it's ICE. It's supposed to be helping America. But really, we know what this is all about. They've been want to do this, rolling you tribes, man. All right. And it ain't stopping at just illegals. Anybody who offends against what they got going on, offends against the state of Israel, we know they're gonna come for us, man. But it's cool. It's all a part of the Lord's plan. Let the Lord's will be done, not our own will. And hey, man, if we suffer persecution for the namesake of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, we are blessed, man. So at the end of the day, man, there's nothing they could do, man. This prophecy, this truth is like a freight train coming at them, and they can't stop it. The righteous man is going to stand in great boldness. You know, hey, we standing in great boldness now through the Lord. The scripture mentions how the apostles, when they spoke boldly. How much more in that day when everything is coming to pass and they see the elect man is protected, the elect man is good. And even if the Lord put brothers in a predicament, then the Lord will be the one to take us out of it, however it goes. So the Lord controls it all, man. So if we do end up in these situations, remember it's a temporary setback for a major comeback, and the Lord can miraculously deliver us from these circumstances. So, hey, man, this is what we've been our leadership has been telling us, warning us about. We ourselves have been warning, and the Spirit has been having this come out. So now we coming into that time, man. It's not gonna slow up. It's getting more hectic and more hectic, and that whole Iran and Israel thing, people just act like that shit was forgotten. They got into summer mode and just that ain't going nowhere, man. They just hit Syria. So you think that they're letting up? They just reformulating how they're gonna go again. And this time they're gonna go even harder. So let's see. Exciting times, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. Yours was edifying. All praise be unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Ba'Shem Rechak Wadash. Shalom Akim.